absolute turning point on third down. Dak Prescott breaks away, finds Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard then breaks away for 60, and I was like, damn, he got caught. Because I had Tolos early on in the season, all up in my mentions. Does Pollard not have the same burst? Is Pollard not as fast? I'm like, no, don't be ridiculous. Of course he's got the same burst. He's young. He got young legs. He ain't got any mileage on there. I'll have to go back and look at the angle at which Asante Samuel got him, but I still thought gone. When he broke free, I'm like, that's a touchdown. And then when he did not score, I'm like, crap, the Cowboys are not going to put this in the end zone. They never do. They're not going to go ahead and convert. They ended up being 2 of 4 in the red zone last night.
So that's improvement.
That is improvement, JJ. And Jerry Jones will join us at 9:30 this morning. So what happened after that? They had to use a second timeout, by the way, which was bad game management. They were left with one timeout early in the fourth quarter. Star down overall for Mike McCarthy and coaching up this game, which we'll get to in a little bit. I want to keep it positive for a second. But this led to the Brandin Cooks touchdown. That was a beautiful, difficult throw from Dak Prescott, backing up, fading away, dropping it in. Brandin Cooks was not wide open. Basically, I say all this to get to a star up for Dak Prescott's legs were the MVP of last night offensively.
Back on his right. They'll give it to Pollard. He's going to be hit from it. Oh, he kept it. He's still good running up the middle. Touchdown. Oh, he faked me out. What a great fake and an 18-yard run up the middle by Dak Prescott.
That never happens. And what a play. What a play by Dak, man. That was – we needed to see that. And he had a really nice night running the football. Really nice.
He did. And we haven't seen that. That's what you mean by that.
Yes, is exactly what I mean.
Is the way that he runs
never
the football. So, no, this is – I do wonder, and I brought this up on the postgame last night.
Well,
did that feel like to you guys Dak just saying, like, screw this, I'm going? Or do you think that was something that was a conscious point that was coached to him this week of like, hey, start running a little bit more? Because he definitely felt a little more, it looked like he was more comfortable with like, I got to make something happen with my legs than he has been recently.
I hope it was him saying, screw this, I'm doing this on my own. I hope he just starts to do that the entire year.
Now, the 4th and 1
by
touchdown.
the way, you say that as if McCarthy like wouldn't want him to run when opportunity is there. I would disagree with that. There's been plenty of times where we've been sitting there on the screen just saying, go! Like, go! Run! Dip the shoulder down. Jerry Jones just going to have to get over this. I remember Jerry for the past couple of years. He has been terrified of Dak running since the injury, and he's just going to have to get over it now because, as Atolo told the postgame last night, you just have to do it in today's National Football League. You have to. And he was definitely more ready to do it last night. 7 carries, 40 yards, the 18-yard touchdown run. But I'm not even giving him like the most credit for the run. Throwing to run. On the move. Broken plays.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the Cowboys offense had their most success, I thought.
Yeah, they did. And Dak was always really good at that. Yeah, when I say like, he doesn't want to run, I don't mean like that. I mean Dak just going rogue in general.
Yeah, look, the West Coast is very much, this is our system. You are within the system and you follow the rules. And that's the thing that I think has been the worst aspect or the most difficult thing that everybody has had to adjust to on this offense is Dak consistently has been at his best when he's rolling out, when he's extending plays, when he's freelancing a little bit. And it's felt like he's been in a little bit of a box, and he just hasn't felt comfortable.
Yeah, I want him to pull a Romo and say, no, that play call sucks. We're going to do this one on third down.
Well, I think we're talking about different things. Yeah, you want him to audible the actual play.
Yeah, I want him to go rogue all the time now. Like, just screw this whole thing, play backyard football, do what you do best. Because what Dak does best, is the movement and the rollouts, or at least it used to be. But him confining to one thing, not a fan of that. Just start going rogue. Call your own plays if you want to. I'm done with this offense the way it is structured right now.
They also got the receivers involved. We talked about the fadeaway. We talked about the perfect pass. And we finally got this receiver a touchdown.
2nd and goal at the 2. Good block in the backfield. Prescott left side of the end zone. Brandin Cooks caught it. Touchdown. Cooks calling everybody over to help in the celebration. That's the first Dallas Cowboys touchdown for Brandin Cooks.
Now, he only had 4 for 36, but just that touchdown, that relief, that was a tough play. It was a great play from Dak, and they got CeeDee Lamb involved early. It was the huge storyline over the week. 7 for 117. 7 for 117 on 7 targets. So he was only targeted 7 times, 16.7 a catch. And that had to settle things down for the Dallas Cowboys offensive coaching staff. And Dak Prescott talked about not 1, but 2 receivers actually involved.
Yeah, I mean, that was part of the plan. You talk about what was part of the plan going into this game, knowing that we'd get some matchups with those guys, understanding how they were going to play CD, clouding his side, when they were going to, giving Cooks outside some one-on-ones, and we took advantage of them. Cooks did a great job, and tonight was due. Tonight it was due up, and just the player that he's been, the person that he's been, everything that he brings to this team, getting the touchdown, big third down catches, plays that he made all over the field, and he was due for a night like this. Happy for him, and it'll only grow from here.
Happy to see him cross the 100-yard mark. That's 100 yards on the season now. He has 13 receptions, 109 yards through 6 weeks. Brandin Cooks. That's good. I'm so glad to see the Brandin Cooks 100-yard performance. That's good right there. It's funny. This was similar to the game I felt like that Cooks had played against the Giants in Week 1, which Cooks I had a star up on in Week 1. I've got a star up on in this week, where it's 4 for 36 in this game. He was 2 for 22 against the Giants, but those were 2 big catches. He drew 2 penalties. Last night, same sort of thing. He had big, tough catches for him. That touchdown catch was, when I saw the replay, it looked for a sec like, he secured it, but it looked like, okay, that ball almost got away from him for a sec. I thought that was, you talk about the relief after the game, the intensity, the emotion on Dak's face, Brandin Cooks' face when they got that touchdown. I think that was so important as a psyche thing as much as it was just a play in the game.
They had to get some kind of a feel for each other. Look, I don't know whether or not this was a great fit scheme-wise offensively for him either. But look, anytime you can have more than one receiver in tune with your quarterback, that's a good thing. If you got 3, it's even better. They didn't have 3 last night. They had 2 and one guy that got a lot of looks.
Yeah. They
couldn't connect. There was some where Gallup couldn't get open, Gallup couldn't make the catch, Dak couldn't hit him. Like, that was a weird connection. They had 2 games in a row they were really, really solid together. And then back-to-back games where they were kind of off with each other.
Well, let's go star down Michael Gallup. Let's just get it out of the way. 3 catches on 10 targets. That's awful. Awful. 3 catches, 24 yards on 10 targets. And Tolos before the punt return. We'll get to the punt return and McCarthy end of first half at 6:40. Tolos were saying, enough. Get Jalen Tolbert's ass in there and get Michael Gallup out.
Yeah, look, I think it was the first incompletion to Gallup, Dak missed. There was that one that was in the end zone where he overthrew him a little bit.
They have one of those a week.
Yep.
Hendershot, Ferguson, whether it's a drop, whether it's an overthrow. He went high, and then Gallup had the one.
Gallup had one that he dropped.
With what we thought should have been an interference as well.
Yeah, but I mean,
that was Dak's probably best throw of the night.
That was a great throw.
Even with the interference, though, it was one where it's like, that's on your hands, Michael. Like, you gotta finish that. This is something where
he probably got blocked out, right? Because there was a guy in front of him. That's probably what happened. And then more the PI.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's right on his hands. Like, he's got to finish it. And look, it's just become incredibly inefficient to throw Michael Gallup the ball, and it has been for a year and a half. Which is interesting because he was the guy that was their vertical threat. He was the guy that took the top off the defense. He doesn't look like the same player since the knee injury. And one of the statistics that's become really popular in recent years is success rate, which is gaining at least 40% of the yards required on first down, 60% of the yards required on second down, and then 100% on third or fourth down. That's right. What they term success rate. Right now, of the players that have at least, a target a game in this offense, including all the running backs, all the tight ends, everything else, Michael Gallup's success rate is the worst on the team. It's 43%. And that's just wow. And yet he's second on the team in targets.
Yeah, I mean, they like throwing. He likes throwing to him. He obviously likes throwing to him. He's obviously either open or he feels he's open enough. And McCarthy likes him too. I mean, we asked him about. He's like, no, I disagree. I think Gallup's been playing great this year. That was before the Arizona game.
Yeah.
Or the other guys are more covered. I don't know. Bobby gave a star up and a star down to 2 cornerbacks. Here's one of them.
And now it's 4th and 1 at the Dallas 7. And he rolls out to his right, looks back to his left, throws it in the end zone, and knocked down by Deron Bland, running all the way across the end zone and knocking down the pass intended for Palmer, and the Chargers turn it over on downs. Still 10-7 Dallas.
Woo! That maintained the lead. 4th and 1 breakup to start the third quarter on the Chargers' first drive.
Boy, if Justin Herbert does not miss a couple of just wide open throws to Keenan Allen, we're talking about Deron Bland very differently this morning, because he got burned on 2 of those.
Yeah, I gave Bland a star down.
And it was
and first and foremost for his tackling. This is an awful team tackling effort. Or this whole secondary, basically, for the most part, I got something for after you go.
Yeah, I think that Bland, there were moments that were not great last night, but he also did, you can say that 4th down stop was one of the biggest plays of the game in terms of like biggest impact. So I think that the impact
What a dumb play call. What a dumb play call that was.
The impact on the game and the final result, the positive impact he had there, I think that's huge. And then the fact that he still was getting burned and getting picked on a little bit, I think there was good and bad that you got to take. So it's a split for me. But overall, I mean, they can't play like that every week. The corners can't. Gilmore, same way. Gilmore got picked on. Gilmore had a bad game.
Gilmore's slow.
Bryant, that's what Brian was saying last night.
Stephon Gilmore's slow. Yep. He trails receivers by 3 yards on some of these. He's helpless.
But, this is what big defenses do, though. Like, they'll come up with big plays in big spots. And they
they're not a big defense.
No, they're not, but that's what big defenses do. They do that.
And 2,000 Ravens, Sean.
Yeah, and last night they did.
Offensively. Hey, I did that for you, Bob. I did that for you.
We
hey,
can't
tip your
that.
waitresses.
877-881-1053, chuckwreck.com text line to hit us up for star up, star down. Going back to the Rangers here in the next segment.
I would rather not even make the postseason than win a Super Bowl the way the Ravens did. I would. Star up to a little tank action, batting balls down left and right.
I agree.
Got his hands up.
I did
like
my
Jerry
star.
wanted.
I know. I did my star up, star down. I didn't have Tank on here, but man, I felt like he was active throughout the night.
He was, and you can be active without getting sacks as a defensive lineman. You may put pressures on them. You help out. You help alleviate pressure from other guys, and then you get your hands up, and he did.
My undercover star up. You got something on Tank?
I was just going to say a similar guy that I think was underrated last night.
Don't steal mine.
Then I'll let you go first.
Is it Marquise Bell?
No. Osa Odigizua.
Okay.
And Osa has become, I think, their most reliable, consistent lineman. Like, he was one of the ones who had some plays against San Francisco. He is, it seems like, every week disrupting things. Micah's more dominant. Micah will make bigger plays. When Micah's on, he's better. Micah has his moments where he can get taken out of games. It does happen. Osa's not getting taken out of the game. He's just the same guy every snap, it feels like.
And they're off. I'm going to get to the Cowboys penalties later on, but 6 offensive line penalties for the Chargers.
Pipkins is bad.
6. Scotty Pipkins. And Marquise Bell is my undercover star up. Thank you. Damone Clark led the team in tackles. Marquise Bell had some big plays. 3rd and goal stop in the 4th. That's immediately what I wrote down.
The Dallas Cowboys thank you notes after that road win.
All right, so maybe we have this cut. And I know we'll have it from Brad Cham. So I don't know if Babe and Brad said the exact same thing that Troy Aikman did. But thank you to Micah Parsons, as the game is obviously on the line, right around 2 minutes.
You want to go to cut number 7?
Cut number 7, where Troy Aikman demands Micah Parsons do something in this game.
2nd and 2, Herbert back. Whoa. Rush, hit, sack. Micah Parsons got it. Babe and I were just talking during the break, and I said, I've got 0 sacks for the Dallas Cowboys.
So thank you, Micah Parsons. And I thought he was having a fine game. He was just playing a lot of linebacker during the game. He wasn't rushing the passer the majority of the time, would you say? I'm sure somebody has the snaps of when he rushed the passer versus playing more of a linebacker role. But I thought that was a huge play in the game, because I guess I was nervous that Herbert, even though I thought Choppy gave a great, why am I drawing a blank here? Who he reminded him of?
Like a comparison.
A comparison, yes. Jeff George. Back in the day, Jeff George was the number 1 overall pick. He had all the tools you thought to be a great quarterback, but he couldn't figure it out. I'll say almost ever. He figured it out at one point when he had Randy Moss and Chris Carter, and they said, just throw the ball and see what happens. And that was when he was good. But I feel like Herbert, I was just worried still with his talent at that point. Like, what if he does put it all together on this drive? But he chargered it up, and Micah Parsons put him in a bad situations.
I guess then I will say thank you to Stephon Gilmore for stealing the game, putting a cap on that sucker, because that was a play that was kind of needed, man. That defense, not that the Chargers were great offensively, but you needed to get out of that game. You needed it to be over with and done. And that play right there sealed that up. And Kevin, I don't know that he had the best game, Gilmore, because there were a couple times I was like, damn, he got beat.
He did not have the best game.
But closing it out with that, like, kind of makes you forget about all the rest of the stuff for a little bit.
I could definitely see that. I actually wanted to shout out the run defense. Now, I know for our run offense, that's a whole different thing that was problematic in yesterday's game. But how many people were concerned yesterday and then going back to last week about Austin Eckler coming back from injury? And he did get touches, but 14 carries for 27 yards didn't kill you in the passing game either. And so I was really impressed by the run defense, because you had asked Steven yesterday about the lack of close games. So it feels like it's hard to judge run defense. But this was a game where there was ebbs, there were flows, back and forth, lead changes, and the Chargers had an opportunity to use Austin Eckler to their advantage, and he did not hurt you.
Well, and isn't that the feeling, too, wasn't that the feeling regarding Kellen Moore offenses? Like, Kellen Moore just refused. Sometimes he would ignore his run game, maybe not because it wasn't working, but because he was just like, well, we got to throw. Because quarterbacks love to throw, right? But yesterday, I mean, they did have 23 attempts overall, but they didn't do anything with it. And so that's part of where Kellen Moore, I think, is still missing some of that component of his offense.
How sad is Kellen Moore this morning that not only his team lost, but his offense was not impressive whatsoever?
I'm sure he's disappointed, especially that they're 2-3 and they don't look like a team that's going anywhere.
Yeah,
I get it. There's games left that they can get to 10-7, but it doesn't look like it watching them. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Cowboys winning on the road, but I thought the Chargers just looked disjointed, sloppy. Now, the Cowboys at times did too because of all the penalties and stuff, but I think Kellen Moore, I just wonder if he looks at Herbert, and I'll say this, I'm being honest here, my opinion, I do think Dak might be better than Justin Herbert. I get Herbert has all of the tools. Like, Herbert has more tools. He's taller. He has a stronger arm. He throws maybe a prettier ball. But I don't know. Like, Herbert was very uninspiring, and I think that at times Kellen Moore did drop a couple plays that should have worked well, and he can't execute them enough to make them work.
I made a joke last night at Old 75, Kevin, about the way I felt that the game was going. And I thought maybe I'm thinking Mike McCarthy today, because it felt like all the first and second down runs from Mike McCarthy that he was just trying to shorten the game and not allow Kellen Moore's offense to open up. Like, he was like, I'm just gonna keep this close. So we're gonna be ultra conservative with everything and just make sure that this is a short game. I mean, the penalties didn't help because it ultimately ended up being a long. But I felt that was just a feeling. Maybe it was more a feeling than anything else out there.
And from the 6'8" Marquise Bell, it's come up a couple of different times. We mentioned him earlier in the show. Felt like he had a very quality game. So thank you note to Marquise Bell.
He was really good
right there.
Was that surprising to you guys?
I guess a little bit. I'm going back and forth between a little bit and not really, just because we've talked about him. We've talked about his positional flex and him coming up in the world. But yeah, I very much appreciate his contributions to the game last night. Same on the special teams. I know we joked last week against the 49ers. If you're touting your special teams, it's possible the game didn't go super well for you. But Brandon Aubrey for being absolute nails. And so when he goes up there, I have no concerns anymore outside of your just general kicking concerns that everybody has. And then Brian Anger for still booming the ball. Unfortunately, we've had to punt more than you would hope. I think yesterday, like 52 yards a punt or something like that.
So you're giving the punter kicker good grades.
Yes, absolutely.
But there was obviously, that was a major, it was a snafu. Like I'm not against, I think Tolbert, unfortunately, obviously he had no clue if it hit somebody. He just sees Chargers sprinting to the ball. So he assumes that a negative thing has happened and he has to go recover the ball.
And that's where, like, I understand it feels like I'm definitely in the minority on this, but it feels like somebody on the field who did see the play as it developed. I get it. Kevontae Turpin, maybe when he's on the ground, he's like, no touch, no touch, no touch. But somebody surely on the Cowboys could have been yelling.
Yeah, I hear you. Corey, real quick, would it be amazing if somehow Corey could have entered one of the Cowboys' bodies at that moment? And I'm
Corey, by the way. Kevin is that.
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Corey,
okay,
but I'm
right.
saying Kevin enters a Cowboys body on that special teams play. And as Tolbert is sprinting towards the ball, I don't know, it's like a 15-yard sprint where the ball bounced off to his left, that then Kevin smokes Tolbert as he's just sprinting towards the ball. There's like 3 Chargers sprinting towards it, and Tolbert. And Kevin the Cowboy just crushes Jalen Tolbert into Timbuktu, we say?
Yeah, that is his place.
And you save the day because you have now knocked out your own player because you knew that the ball was not touched.
Would that be problematic for me because I saved us the ball but also hit one of my
he's okay.
teammates?
He's going to be all right.
Okay.
So everything's fine. Can I thank Oso Digizua?
Yes.
Can I add that? I know you said the whole defensive front, but his PFF grade was spectacular last night along with Marquise Bell. So I would like to add him to that list. 7 total and 5 solo tackles. That's impressive work. He keeps doing that. We need more growth from Osa, man.
From the 214, thank you note to the football for staying in Dak's hands during the read option touchdown.
Dude,
that was
a moment where I thought, I really think he thought he wanted to hand that ball off, even though there was the space for him to go make that touchdown happen. He looked like he wanted to just give that ball away, but everybody else realized it's not working for you. That was that moment. It didn't stay in his hand.
Is that Dak's fault? Do you blame now? It ended up not being a fumble. It ended up being a great touchdown.
Yes.
Is that Dak's fault for not pulling it out of kind of that rib cage area fast enough?
I guess maybe, but then I also have to give him the credit to not only recognize the situation, regather, get the football, and still make the play. So I could be both a credit and blame type situation. Somebody wants to just say thank you to the Dallas Cowboys in general, because last night, it finished up last night. Somebody made a $250 parlay bet, 10-team parlay. They got the first 9 right. The last one they needed, all against the spread, was for the Cowboys to beat the Chargers by at least 1.5 points.
And they did it.
And they won $200,000 off a $250 bet.
Thank you note to Mike McCarthy for kicking the field goal right before halftime. That won the bet.
That did win the bet.
And the Cowboys won by 3.
And you're a hater. They could have been.
That was a smart move.
They could have been up by 3.
Run the clock down to 3 so we can get
our 3.
Trying to be a
hater. Just saying.
You hate points. They scored points, and you're mad about it.
Points, and you had essentially a free play. All right, what if he gets sacked? You still have a timeout. Did that take 7 seconds? You just talk to the offense. You talk to Dak and be like, hey, don't scramble. Don't try to make it happen. If it's not there, just throw it away. Or if you have to take a sack and take the timeout.
All right, I listened to this a little bit, Kevin. Let's hear cut 18 here from Mike McCarthy. This is him on the end of first half clock management there.
Yeah, I think the end of the half, if you look at the series going down there, I think I've said it enough for a couple of times already. I mean, it's a bumpy game, and I think, you get in those spots. And I know when I call plays, you always have 2 play calls that you're, anticipating. The threshold for us is 7 seconds. It's something that, as far as determining which way we're going in that situation based on yard line, down a distance, and that. So I definitely, I think we're right at 8, 7, 8, somewhere in there, and we just decided to play it safe instead. The other call would have been ozone, where you throw the ball into the end zone and give us a shot there. So I just felt the way the game was going. I think we had a holding penalty earlier in the series. So I just wanted to make sure we got the points getting out of there.
Is that coaching scared or coaching conservative?
No,
because he was scared that something wrong would happen as opposed to something right.
I'm going to say conservative as opposed to scared. The issue I have when he talks about the sequencing of that series is he's right. You had a hold right before that. What happened the very play after that? A pass to Jake Ferguson for 15 yards. You, I believe, were at the 14-yard line. And let's take it a step further. Okay, you do get a holding call. You're at the 14. If you bounce back to the 24, you're still talking about a 42-yard field goal. That is not an I know it's not like an easy field goal, but it's not an extraordinarily long field goal. It's his team. Coach it however the hell you want. I think that is a fundamental mistake no matter how he chops that up.
What if you throw an interception?
It could happen. That's a chance. I think,
now you don't get any points.
No, you're right. I think the chance of getting a touchdown is definitely higher than getting an interception in that position. But then again, I don't know how he feels about Dak in that moment.
That's kind of where I am. Reflection of that. Yeah, that's kind of where I am. Is I think that maybe he was just like, I'm just going to protect the quarterback. I'm going to protect the team. Let's just get points and get out. But I understand what you're saying too. If your MO is we're being aggressive and we're always aggressive, we're going for it on fourth downs because we're just trying to show Kellen Moore's ours is bigger. Then yeah, man, like I'd be aggressive and go do that. But yesterday, it seemed like nothing was really going right. So they were like, we can't be as aggressive as we want to be. And I don't know when this team is going to be able to open up and do that kind of game again.
And then for the 956, we talked about this earlier in the show, but I'm glad they got brought up again. Thank you to CD for doing what you say you can do. Look, I said last week when Richard Sherman's like, he's a number 2 wide receiver. I think that's laughable. Like, wherever you put him in the NFL, that's for you. But the idea that he's a number 2 wide receiver is laughable. And don't just look at the catches and the yardage. Look at the efficiency yesterday. You throw ball to CD Lamb, it's going to be a completion yesterday.
The dude says it's my ball.
Yes, that's a huge thing.
All right, let's get right to this. I talked about there's some issues with the running game. I think everybody saw that. Could be scheme related. It could be, with your play caller. Could be that your guys just aren't good enough up front to maybe get some of this jobs done, what they're asking them to do. I'm going to go through some of these plays, and you tell me if you can hear a common theme of what's going on here, okay? Took all of Tony Pollard's runs, all of Rico Dowdle's runs. Just going to tell me, is there a theme that you hear here? You ready?
Yep. Here
we go. Right off the jump. Tyron Smith gets beat inside, loses sustain on Tuilopo. Is right on that first play. Gain of 1. Ferguson gets compressed at the point. Tyler Smith pulls for kick out. McEwen pulling as well. Can't get inside to handle Murray, who makes the tackle. Gain of 3. Flip lefts. Ferguson pins Mack inside. Tyron Smith out in space. Tolbert gets enough of Kendricks for the play to work. Gain of 7. Clean trap by Tyler Smith. Biotish and Martin, nice combo blocks. Play hits where it should. Gain of 5. 13 personnel. That's 3 tight ends, 1 back. Dive play that bounces outside. No movement across the line. Ferguson gets overpowered by Mack for the stop. Gain of 1. Good combo between Tyron Smith and Tyler Smith. Martin pulls to secure Murray. Ferguson tries to cut off Tuilopo, who closes the hole. Gain of 3. One too many guys in the box. 6 versus 7. Tyler Smith pulls to the right. Taylor and Kendricks waiting in the hole. Smith chooses to block Taylor while Kendricks makes the tackle. Gain of 2. Counter right. Schoonmaker cleans up Johnson at the point. Tyler Smith and McEwen both pull. Smith kicks out man. McEwen doesn't see the run through of Murray. Is able to get behind him. Nice read. Finish on the play. Loss of 2. Counter left. Biotish misses Joseph Day on the back block. Ferguson gets compressed by Tuilopo. Martin with the kick out on Steele, Martin on the kick out, but Steele gets knocked down in the hole. Gain of 2. Tuilopo shoots the inside of Tyler Smith, who's trying to reach him. Pollard can't avoid. Gain of 1. Prescott under center. Tyler Smith and Biotish both whiff on their blocks. Loss of 2. Outside run. Nice job by Biotish, Martin, and Steele, all getting blocks on the right side. Steele loses late, but Pollard around the corner. Lamb gets called for holding. It was clear. Hands outside for control. Gain of 9. Penalty on Lamb for holding. Loss of 10. Lamb tight wing left. He and Tyron Smith both go for James, leaving Bosa unblocked. Slides inside for the easy tackle. Gain of 1. Tyler Smith pulls, gets to second level. Ferguson gets his cut off. Martin and Steele good on the combo block. Gain of 4. Once again, here we go. 13 personnel, 3 tight ends, 1 back. Schoonmaker gets beat inside. Tyler Smith and McEwen pull to the right. McEwen again gets knocked off his path. Joseph Day and Kendricks right there for the tackle. No gain. Great job across the board. Ferguson seals backside and Dowdle sees the hole. Turpin is able to work inside and gets a really good block on Taylor for some extra yards. Gain of 7. Trap right. Tyler Smith pulls to his right. Tyron Smith tries to cut off Kendricks, who beats him to the ball. Prescott makes the right decision to hand the ball off with Joey Bosa waiting right there if he pulled it. Gain of 4. Off tackle right. Hunter Lipke misses Bosa. Tyler Smith tries to clean it up, but not successful. Bosa makes the tackle at the point. Gain of 1. Those were your runs in that football game last night with your backs. You hear a common theme throughout that, what I'm describing as what's happening on those plays.
Missed blocks. Tyler Smith, not a good game.
Missed blocks. They're trying to run a pull scheme with guys that can't. When you're talking about, why did you draft Schoonmaker? Why did you draft Schoonmaker if you're going to have McEwen be the pull guy? There were several times they're getting 13 personnel twice. He doesn't get the block. Even your guys, your guys like Steele get compressed. Ferguson gets compressed. They can't get to the second level. And you kind of wonder why. Why is that? You always say 5 guys have got to do their job. 1 guy doesn't do their job, the play gets blown up. That's just a common thread right now, this football team running the ball. You see it kind of every week. And the last 2 weeks, it's been everybody saying, well, maybe the continuity of the offensive line because the guys have not played together. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of a pass on that. But the main part of this is that when they're trying to execute plays, they have breakdowns, and they have bad breakdowns. And it's not always breakdowns of the guys like McEwen and others. Ferguson has a breakdown. Tyron Smith has a breakdown.
Biotish, you mentioned
Biotish has a breakdown right here.
And I was going to say, those are the ones you can live with where we had man-on-man.
Right.
Our guy just lost.
Yeah.
You can't live with it when the guy doesn't know his responsibility or the coach has the wrong guy doing the job. Those are like mental attention to detail things that player and coach are making things more difficult on. You should only fail when you just lost because you're not as good that play. You shouldn't fail because of lack of preparation or attention to detail.
Yeah, I think the intent of what they want to do is right. I think that there's these times where you would not expect these 5 guys to get physically beat, and they are getting beat.
And what's that a sign of? You think age?
I think it's I don't know if I have a great answer for that. I think to me when it's not something like Tyler Smith is a young guy and he's trying to pull and he's trying to clean up or he's trying to get McEwen, young guy, trying to kind of I can't sit there and say now the thing with Tyron Smith when he's trying to cut off Murray, that's a little bit different by alignment of him, where he is a little bit to his inside.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyron Smith has lost a step trying to get that cutoff block inside.
Yeah.
But we've seen Zach Martin and Steele combo block and do things the right way.
Yeah.
We've seen them create space. They were running the ball to the side of where Martin and Steele were, and you saw what happened. Guys get compressed, guys over the top, guys running through. There used to be a time where those two would work together and you would see some movement at the point of attack. But, they 13 personnel, that's pretty much, you're putting all those tight ends in the game to try and run the football.
Are they trying anything with their techniques that are different from last year with the new O-line coach?
It doesn't appear to me, you can't see anything. To me, I just noticed a lot more pull and go along than what we've normally seen. More of, hey, we're trying to trap or we're trying to get guys around. Where we said Arizona was pin and pull, where we talked about down, and around. Dallas is more like combo, push, and then try and get the puller.
So you got a lot of moving parts. It's a combination of things that Jerry was talking about last week on the air, and it's just not coordinated enough.
I don't think there's been a really good. To me, the physicality part is the biggest thing. I like what they're trying to do. Now, people say, well, they're trying to run the ball inside. No, they're really trying to get the ball out on the edge a little bit. They're trying to find a way to get pullers around and kick it gives space. The ball not when they've been running the ball just inside straight. It's like it's like, okay, let's just line up with 12%. I'll just try and run straight
Steele
ahead.
is struggling to come back from injury. Martin is the worst version of himself right now that we've ever seen in a Cowboys uniform. Biotish isn't strong enough. Tyler Smith just isn't good enough. He does some things well, but man-to-man, when it's about to be the moment of impact, how good you are reading what the opponent is doing and squaring him up and knocking him on his ass.
Yeah.
He ain't good at that, and Tyron's old.
Well, I'm more likely to give Tyler Smith a pass on certain things because I think he's naturally a tackle. I don't think he's a guard. I'm sorry. That's just me. I think he's a left tackle. Where you could use his athletic ability and his strength and all that. Inside there, it's kind of not always clean for him. They're pulling, and he's kind of, he's trying to kind of figure out, okay, who am I supposed to get? But you got these tight ends that are getting compressed. You're getting, Ferguson getting driven back. He's trying to block. They can't get any push at where they need to, okay, if we're going to push a point, then try and get guys around. You're getting guys, the penetration from the linemen and the linebackers have been a problem.
It was ugly. It was great they escaped with a win. I mean, because they could have easily lost that game with all those failed plays.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised Dak's statistical line looks so clean, other than the 5 sacks.
Let me tell you what, the thing about it, the biggest thing that helped Dak in a lot of this, and we talked about it earlier, was what Tony Pollard was able to do. His blitz pickup and awareness of where to be, where to slide across, not get in Dak's way, it gave him opportunity to get the ball down the field.
I know we're late for this one, but, I mean, you brought up Pollard. I just thought that, despite the blocking shortcomings, it was clearer than ever when the guy blew the tackle at midfield and he couldn't run away from the defense.
Davis. And then, and it ran him down. Yeah. And there wasn't that burst,
injury. That's a house call. We talked about that on the post game last night.
And it's funny, CD after the game even said, man, he got fetched on that one.
He did.
Yeah, we're not used to seeing that.
Not at all.
Guys, you got about 2 weeks or so until the trade deadline. Is it 2 weeks and 2 days?
Yeah.
I want to see something happen. Thank you so much. Is the only media member that gets to watch the film immediately after the game because he's connected.
You watch the tape. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I know I do. I see several players on the offensive side of the ball who look like they're not comfortable in this offense right now. And is that a growing pains and getting used to it and becoming comfortable in it, and it's just a matter of time? Or is it time is not going to fix the fact that these players don't feel comfortable in this? They just don't. So that's the thing I guess we're trying to figure out now is their level of comfort, at least from how I see it, when I watch their body language on the sidelines or when you watch them going through this scheme and some of the missteps that they have, I guess the question just becomes, is that an issue of time and they've still got to put in more work in it? Or is it just, no, this is the way it's going to be for these guys because they are not comfortable playing in it?
And I don't know. It kind of it makes me think when I see what's going on with Brandin Cooks. That's the thing. I've always seen kind of like Brandin Cooks everywhere he's ever been. It seems like that he finds a way. He's explosive. And we just haven't seen that from him.
1,000 yards, no matter the quarterback, no matter the scheme.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that. You just wonder, and actually, 3 of Dak's interceptions were to him or at him.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, well, the one that he threw down the middle of the field, that was just, that was just that. You even see Dak had that smirk on his face. But it makes you wonder.
The deep ball?
Yeah, the deep ball.
And to be fair, I think that one was just. You're down. You're just trying to make something. You're just going, all right, let's try to make something happen. And it's just it was reckless.
Yeah, and it was. And to me, I just kind of, I don't know. I mean, I expected just so much more when we were in Oxnard. I just did. The Cowboy offense was going after the Cowboy defense, and the biggest problems they had were they weren't able to always block the Cowboys offense, the Cowboys defense, excuse me.
Yeah.
But you did see some plays, some success, some good routes. You saw things that would kind of give you a little like, okay, this is gonna be different here today, And I haven't seen that. I haven't been impressed when I watch the tape. I'm not impressed by the routes. I'm not impressed by some creativity. We've talked about, and by the way, we need to figure out who's installing the red zone package stuff.
Yeah, we do.
You think and can we speculate Scott Tolzien, a rookie coach?
I don't know if it's Tolzien. I mean, Nussmeier did it previously. So I mean, if you're just saying the quarterback's coach would continue
that
to do
guy,
that,
I don't know.
Then it would be Tolzien. We just don't know.
We just don't know. But and I'm one of these guys too that, man, I just thought there was so much turnover, Bobby. I thought there was turnover, the play caller, the quarterback coach, the OC, the running back coach, the offensive line guy. I just thought there was so much turnover. And it just seems like it just doesn't appear like this is a fit for whether it's the receivers or the quarterback. Even Tony Pollard's down, the way they're running the football. He's down. Now, they've been in some blowout games and stuff like that where they probably haven't had to use him. But do you have real confidence this team could run the football?
There was a lot. There was a lot of.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. No, you're good.
Yeah. The thing was, one of the things that people talked about, if you believe in the metrics, I always say that the weakness of San Francisco was maybe some run defense stuff. Maybe, believe it or not, with the linebackers they had, maybe there was some, maybe there was some of that. But if you look at the metrics and where they were ranked, but Dallas seemed like they could run, 2 feet, against the 49ers.